I was diagnosed at 15. I do not have CMT. I was diagnosed with a degenerative disease, more like ALS. And so I have been literally living with this for the last 50 years, 51 years. I've had 15 tendon transfers. I've had everything. And here I am. And it is just in my arms, but I have about 3 pounds of muscle strength. And what I watched me, which is why I bring my heart here open to everybody's questions and whatever I can do to assist you, is when I stopped feeling so damaged and I stopped, and my whole life revolved around, what if I can't do this? What if I can't do this? What if I can't do this? All right. Now, I'm also an occupational therapist, so you could just imagine the duality I sat in. I still do. What if I can't do this? Okay, so you get adaptive equipment and you blah, blah, blah. And the one thing nobody ever told me throughout my life was how important the emotion and the energetic piece is. I tapped into that myself 16 years ago. Everything about me changed. My attitude about my hands. I no longer ever say I'm damaged. I love me the way I do, who I am, what I can do. I'm actually really proud I've done as well as I have. And believe me, I don't do anything, quote unquote, whatever that means, normal, right? And to grow that space within that you feel honored by what you can do is really the hero's journey, okay? And I don't know where I would be if I didn't incorporate that into my life at 50 years old. So I know it can happen, okay, is what I'm telling you firsthand, no pun intended there. Because the energy shifts when the attitude shifts, and then everything shifts. So even getting back to Gloria with picking things up, picking things up, I went immediately to the pinch of picking things up or opening those Ziploc bags, okay, and how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? To, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And you do. It's like magic. There is a way of figuring things out. And that's what we're going to speak to. There's 3 components to that, but we can figure it out if we open our hands and open our hearts to the availability of our emotions that say, I'm going to do this. And you'll see me in here doing this differently and feeling really good. And the feeling really good is what's keeping me so healthy and functional, not my muscle strength, okay? Or the sequela of 15 tendon transfers and bone fusion. So I just want to bring that to the table, that I get it firsthand and I live it, and I'm here as a resource, both as a therapist and as a very, very mindful person. So, okay.
We'll start with our...
Anybody has any questions, please. I am an open book. So the first thing is the adaptive equipment, which is this, okay? And you can buy this at any store today. The second piece is I do this. I sit down, I put it between my knees, and I will use 2 hands if that's what I need to do to open it. And then I get up and say, you see, I knew I could do it. That's it.
Okay, so that was Laura's demonstration of this 3-step process. So maybe you could break it down a little bit more for us.
Okay. So we're gonna look at the and really, I really do. I get up and say, I knew I could do this, even if I may cry or scream for a minute beforehand. I just have to do it. Okay. I and for anybody who's been living this life, you either do it or you don't. Okay. So that's where I come from. but in a very positive way. So these, we want to get into this awareness that every task is up to us. Every activity that we do, everything we do, whether it's holding this, okay, opening this, figuring it out, is our sort of our switch of saying yes, of saying, how am I going to do this? And is there an adaptive assistance or device or however you want equipment that you want to use? And then what's really, really important is to make sure that that particular adaptive equipment is really meant for you. It's going to work for you, because we can buy lots of stuff and it still doesn't work. Or we can walk around the house and say, oh my gosh, I'll try this, or I'll use this. And so it's an important thing to keep in mind. Okay, first thing is I'm going to look for something adaptive. And that thing that I had, that green thing, I mean, I bought that in the store. I came from Dyson and OT, and now you could get it in every store there is. All right. So the availability is so much different than 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And then the next piece, and we will go over the adaptive devices, and that's where I want you guys to chime in and say, well, I need something to help me with this pinch. Or we're going to do the second, which is, how are we going to compensate? How are we going to use compensatory skills? All right. How are we going to find the methodology or problem solve so I can do this task? So, immediately, because I do this all the time with the Ziploc bags, really grateful when they added that little flap on the end. All right. And, I'll use my whole hand to secure it. All right. One side of it. And I will open it that way. There's never in a day do I use two fingers. All right. I don't think I use two fingers with anything, to be honest. And it opens. Or you can take a small little object, that's not necessarily a knife because you don't want to cut it, and just weasel it in on one side of it. All right. You just need a tiny bit of opening to get your finger in there. But what I'm talking about is not go out and you can, but if you choose to kind of problem solve it, right? So compensation is, how do we problem solve? I got down on the floor, put it between my knees, and opened it with two hands. And that works for me. I don't, sometimes I do it with one hand, sometimes I got to go through that. But either way, all I really care about, and this is probably this is the key, what I care about is I want to open that bottle of seltzer. So I'm going to do it like a child will do it any way they can. They just want it open. I'm going to do it any way I can. I just want it open. So that's the problem solving. Okay, we're going to figure it out. Then the last piece, which to me is the most important piece, because as I was just sharing with Estella, it's a circle. It's not boom, boom, boom. It's boom, 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 boom. Okay? Because how am I feeling about what I'm doing? How am I taking this in? Am I annoyed? Am I frustrated? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I scared? Am I worried? Whatever the term is. Or am I feeling okay because I know I'm going to figure this out? That is so huge. That is so huge. And for all of us that, I used to say, everything I do, I think about. There's never a moment, and I know every one of you can say the same thing. There isn't a moment when we don't think about everything we do. It just becomes rote. I got to think about this. Am I going to open the door? Am I going to do this? Do you know how taxing that is on your system? Again, as I spoke to the first few moments, was we have one neurological system. And notice where my hands are. One neurological system. And our heart, our emotion is going to take the hit if we're always in stress and fear about, am I going to be able to do this? And, I can stress this all I want. I know that it's not a practical answer. And as I did for 45 years, wanted a practical, tell me this so it can happen. I'm not there anymore. Okay, Laura, tell you this, how are you going to do it? And taking that into my own hands, again, no pun intended, I do this all the time. I can do so much more. And so these 3 steps are this. They just keep going. And when you feel better about what you're doing, or you say, well, I'm going to figure this out, then whatever the adaptive method is going to be easier, less stress on you, less toxic or taxing on your system. So I can go on with this forever because it's so important that we take in the whole self. We literally care about all of our body, not just the part that really we have to be so aware of all the time. And I know that some of you have leg involvement. I mean, I know it's more than just your hands. So it's a total body piece here. So please, I am going to open it up right now to questions or concerns or reactions or anything, because the more you ask, the more Estella and I can help you problem solve. I'm not going to say give you a magic cure, because that's not going to happen. I'm just going to be straight up. But we are here to problem solve with you because we get it, we live it just like you do, and there's lots of amazing solutions.
And
So
I wanted to just quickly add as well. I think, on that 3rd stage about what is my emotion around this activity, a lot of times, because if I have CMT as well, I have CMT 4A. So a lot of times we feel pressured to have to do activities and that we don't necessarily enjoy, or that we want to do, or that we have the energy to do. For me, a lot of times it's cooking or food shopping. And now, thanks to technology and apps, I can literally go food shopping from my phone and use apps like Instacart, or order something healthy instead of using all of my energy to cook a meal. So yeah, it's not just about how do I feel about myself doing this activity. It's more about, does this activity matter to me? Am I getting joy and value out of this? Or is this something that I can let go of? Is this something that I'm being pressured to do? So I think that's another way of looking at it as well.
And that's also finding these solutions and the problem solving. And also the other piece to throw out that Estella and I speak to is asking for help. And I'll tell you right now, it took me 40 years to ask for help. I never asked for help. And I feel like, okay, that would have been really so much better, Laura. Okay, if you did, because I had to be this fiercely independent person as I was dealing with my wasting away. All right. In retrospect, it had nothing to do with the disease. It had to do with who I was asking help from. All right. But and to be able to ask for help is twofold. I need help because I really want this. All right. I mean, if I can't do something, I will ask for help. Now, big block for me for years. And it feels good to be able to ask for help, because then you're willing to allow somebody in to you what you're doing and how you're doing it, and it lessens the responsibility of feeling you have to do this. I speak to so many women, mothers. Well, I've got to do this for my children, and if I don't do this for my children, then I'm not a good mother. No, that's part of the emotional baggage that we carry. It's not that you're not a good mother. There's so many ways to be all of the above, and we just do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reframing so much of what we are going to do, which is what you were speaking to. Reframe it. There's no judgment on that. Actually, it takes a really strong, cognizant person to be able to reframe, redirect, all right? And then do it, because you're really taking care of yourself. And everyone on this call, everyone that has anything that I keep trying not to use the word struggle, okay? Because I don't want to put that energy out, but anywhere where we have to be thinking about something all the time, the greatest thing we could do for ourselves is take up less energy. Our energy expenditure is critical. So if that means using an app and having even the staples, delivered to your house, so you don't have to be lugging, paper towels and toilet paper and all that stuff, or asking for help, or, sitting down somewhere on the, getting on the plane first, or doing this or doing that. You have to take care of yourself first and foremost, and your body will love you for that. So that's really important.
And you can be playful while asking for help. It doesn't have to be this heavy, serious thing. Like, when I need help from my children or my boyfriend, I will say, can I borrow your muscles for a minute? Or, you can crack a joke. It doesn't have to be this heavy, shameful act of like asking for help. It's not like, doom and gloom. It's an interaction between two people. And, for the most part, it makes that other person feel good when they can help you in a way. And when you are confident in the way you ask for help, then you're not projecting, the shame on the other person about how you are with this disability. You're communicating that you're confident, that you are, mentally strong, and that you can ask for help without feeling like less than, right? Because if the tables were turned, and a lot of times they are, when people need our help, we are always, I know myself, I'm always happy to help whenever I can. So it's an interaction, it's the human experience of asking for help, and it's not something that we should feel bad about.
And it's also a door opening for people to know it's okay. I have a friend who is in a wheelchair and needs help with almost everything. And he said, I can ask you, Laura, because I know you get it. And that in itself implies it's hard for him, Harvard businessman that he is, hard for him to ask for help, because immediately he takes it into this place where I'm not good enough anymore. And it's really, we have to invite people in to help us, because so many people don't know whether they're overstepping or how you're going to feel about it. And again, the asking for help is your comfortability in your ability and what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Just make that up. It's your ability. Okay. And again, that gets to the third part, which is the emotions around. All right. So you want to, comments, please, anyone, or let's bring up a task, an activity, and let's do a little mini activity analysis. But please, questions, anyone, and then we're going to do a little. Maybe we should do the exercise first.
Sure. Well, does anybody have any
questions
activities that they really wanted to kind of dive deeper into today? That an important activity? I know we had a lot of people answering in the questions about buttons. We had people talking about playing the guitar, playing instruments, painting, and I'm happy to share on the next slide. We have our adaptive Amazon list of over 160 products that I shared in the chat window on the bottom of your screen. You'll see that link in there. It's the Amazon wish list. CMT Amazon wish list, which has many products, assistive devices, and things to help you grip and pinch, and a whole bunch of different types of products. I'll just share that. So these are just a few of the examples of the products we have on there. So, we have kitchen gadgets on there. We have combs for brushing your hair. We have, laundry baskets that you don't need to pick up or drag around the house. They come with rollers. There's also like these accessories for the round doorknobs that can just snap on there. So many of these items I use in this list. There's a lot of gripping aids for small things like keys for your car, even like the nozzle on your gas tank, all of those things. So yeah, check it out, and hopefully you can find some helpful products on there. Let us know too.
And just being kind of this just came to me, that same gripper that I have, it's maybe a different color, a different style. I don't leave home without it, mind you. I have one in the car, because when you said the gas tank or this or that, I have one in the car, I have one in my bag, and I have one in my kitchen. All right. Because when I'm anywhere and I have to open a bottle of water, I'm going to be able to open it. So I literally now, anywhere I go, I have it with me all the time. And that's the problem solving. That's the thinking. How do we adapt our world? And sometimes very, very simply, okay? I bought a new car and it didn't have the push button like all the other cars have. I happen to buy one car that doesn't. So you know what? I added a little strip of rubber. I took it off. I don't even remember where it came from, but I used that around the knob that I turn to give me the friction.
Mhm.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So these are the adaptability things that we probably have floating around the house. We're easy, $3 pickups from anywhere, Bed Bath, anywhere, any store has them today. It's, again, I'm going to get back to just the fact that it's everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I have this thing with me. I wouldn't have done that 10 years ago or 15 or 20. All right. I had Dyson by my door so I can open and close my front door because I couldn't get in or out if I didn't use it. All right. Now they have hooks. So you could bet I don't have one knob in my house. They're all hooks.
Yeah.
Levers.
Levers,
That's
levers.
right. And, I say that as an occupational therapist, I say that as someone who has a disability. So, of course, I'm going to buy whatever works for me, and I'm going to feel good about it. So that's what I personally would love to help you with. How are we going to adapt this so it works for me, meaning you, and then I feel better about it.
Mhm. And
Boom, boom,
I mean,
boom.
it's a great time with the technology and, all these gadgets. I mean, we didn't have half this stuff growing up. So just to be able to go on Amazon and order something and test it out, and if it doesn't work, send it back. Like, this is a process. And, just have fun with it, research, get creative. A lot of times we say that people with disabilities are the ultimate life hackers because we are forced to make the world work for us in a way that it wasn't built to. And we have to find creative solutions to do the things that we want to do. I wasn't able to play sports growing up. So I, was interested in the arts. And that's how I built my creative muscles because I went to art school and I went to design school. And having a disability actually made me a better designer, right? Because of that critical thinking, that way of looking at the world differently is an asset. So it's something to be celebrated. And, we should definitely, we owe it to ourselves to treat ourselves with kindness, to read books about disability, to teach it at a young age, maybe share things with our family and friends and give them an opportunity to learn about, some of the things that are out there right now, documentaries like Crip Camp on Netflix and all these other, um, Laura's son, Ben Duffy, um, made an incredible documentary about dating with a disability and having a family with a disability called Take a Look at This Heart that I'm happy to put in the chat box too. Definitely kind
A
of
boy who grew up with his mommy
yeah.
in surgery all the time, losing muscle strength, and he would come over and he'd range my finger and not say a word. So he grew up with this awareness, and now he's giving it back. But Escilla's right on. It is easier today than it was in the past. There's no question. Trust me on that one. Because the world is going in our direction. Doesn't mean stuff's easy. Even when we go and buy appliances, some of the push button things aren't so easy to push. Okay. Or the, cards in the ATM, not so easy. It's really about what's going to work for me. I bought 5 of these before I found the one that worked. And then because I could hook my fingers into this.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm not holding it up too long to hurt my shoulder and neck, I'm fine. And then I ordered another one, and this thing was so hard to flip up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally found the right one, and yet everyone is different. And the other thing is, I say that it's frustrating when you think you find something and then it doesn't work. And you know what? I'm going to say this with such a full heart. Okay, Amazon took it back. And if I have to buy 20 of them, and if I get 2 of them that are flexible enough so that they're not slammed shut and I can't open it, that's my level of acceptance of life. And that makes my heart less heavy. And I don't feel I don't fit in, or life is so hard. So it's the acceptability of, all right, not everybody thinks this way. And just because this works doesn't mean this is going to work. So we have to be in this constant awareness of what is, and the more positivity. And I'm not being Pollyanna. You can't be Pollyanna and live the lives we live, but less the negative energy and more the, all right, so like Estella said, I'll return it to Amazon and I'll get another one. And if it takes me 10, I'll get it anyway. And I don't care anymore. I'll do that. So that's really where it helps you. I mean, if it wasn't for Estella, I never would have put this thing on the back of my phone. I love it. But you know what I said to her when she said this? I said, I can't do it, because I can't do it with my right hand because my fingers are so tendon transferred. I can't open my fingers, but guess what? I could do it with this hand. And I didn't even want to deal with it, but I bought it anyway, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So
and for me,
we
like,
get in our way.
style. For me, I have like this little piece that goes
Right.
on my phone that swivels and it flips up, and I just slide my finger in there, and then I can hold my phone. But yeah, and my hands are very weak, very, very weak. So yeah, I mean, it's all about
very weak hands, guys. I want to just share this because this is really, really important. So, and this is the OT in me that has to share this. So, obviously everything, oh good, now there's a bigger screen. When we use our hands, all right, we're going right on up to our necks, all right, your shoulder and your necks. And it's so, so important to really be careful with the wrist, the fingers, every joint proximal or closer to your body. So when you are doing something, you're holding something, you're doing something out here, your entire neck and shoulder is going to take the stress. All right. So keep that in mind. And as much as you can, do that activity, but closer to the midline of your body. All right. So it doesn't stress your extremity, because it will. That's just physics.
And we had, I think in one of our other classes, we kind of used the example of driving, right? Someone said their hands and their arms get really tired from holding, this position when they're driving. So you kind of gave them the, the suggestion, kind of holding your hands tight.
You want to keep proximal and down here. Yes, because somebody said, but I was taught 10-2, and so was I. And I will do that for a few minutes. And then when I need to, I bring my arms in and I bring them down. All right. Because the more proximal you are, the less you're stressing your extremities.
Lauren, that was me, Gloria. That was me who brought that up about the driving. And I have been keeping my elbows in. And sometimes I can just kind of rest them on an armrest if it's not too far away from me. And that has helped tremendously. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And yes, even rest your hands. I literally rest them against me, like my elbow, so that I'm taking. It's just the message of our extremities take the hit for our shoulders and neck. That's one of the reasons I had to stop doing OT in the classrooms, because You know, I'm constantly writing and holding things, and it was like I couldn't even, I felt it all here. So again, you know, we compensate, our body is compensating for what it isn't able to do. All right. So if your hand strength is very weak, okay, I mean, very weak, then you're using everything. You're hiking up and you're using all of this. So the more proximal you keep your arms, the better. The more you'll, you know, the more functioning you'll have in your hands. But Gloria, thank you for saying that and for being able to see that. So I want to get back to you on the pinch thing. Do you have any more that you want to ask about that in detail, or
does anyone else have an activity that they want to throw out there, and we can kind of run through the 3-step process and just use it as an example for everyone else? Could be any activity.
Anything.
How about you, Franco? I see you on there thinking. What kind of activity do you like to do? Or you're probably not in school right now, right? Are you still in school?
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
We are from Argentina,
Yes.
and Franco is 15. He goes to school every day. And what is difficult for him is the sips and the cans of Coke, for example.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, on that link, there's zip ties, so that you can put those on anything. There's also like a little gadget that you can carry in your pocket that will help you do zippers really quickly. You can kind of just keep in your backpack, your back pocket.
Un gadget, un aparatito.
You have a zipper?
He uses the fork to open the cans.
There you go.
Hey, so do I.
I use my teeth sometimes.
Don't use your teeth. Listen, I used my teeth for years and I had to get replacements because they were so cracked up. So now I can't afford to use my teeth, which has really been smart. Because now I have to be more adaptive than ever because I can't afford to get new teeth. Literally, I used my teeth. My father was a dentist and I said, Dad, I don't have hands. I'm using my teeth. And I thought I'd be saved, right? And let me tell you, I had chips in every tooth in the front. And I was awful. So anyway, now I don't do that, but I love it. I use a blunt knife, okay, or the back of a can opener. Anything that gives you that leverage, all right? You just use that, flip it up. Perfect, excellent.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a bunch of bottle openers on that list. So maybe you can put one on a keychain, keep it close by, keep it in your pocket for lunch. Yeah. Hopefully that helps. What about any other activities in school? How is your writing or typing?
Letra me sale mal.
His writing is so-so.
Do you use a gripper or anything?
No, he doesn't use it, but he can write everything at school as the same as the other students.
Great.
Okay, great. What was that?
Yeah, as long as you can hold on to the pen, okay. I don't know if they are very strict with using pencils or pens, but I use actually a very thin fine point Sharpie because I don't have to push down so hard on it. And it's easier for me to write because I don't have the strength to push down, for like the darker ink.
And what I always used was the biggest pens I could find.
Yes.
So it gave me a better grip.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, even there's something called Dr. Pen or whatever. I mean, they're really thick. And most pens today have these little grippers on top so you don't slide around. I mean, I hold it between my two fingers, but the wider it is, the easier to hold.
Yes,
So
it's true.
Okay. You don't want anything else, that's for sure. The wider everything, the easier it is to hold.
Lo más ancho que haya de todo es lo mejor.
There's even this one. I have to add this to the Amazon list. It's called Pen Again, and it looks like this. You see it? And then
Yes.
so you can hold it, you can put your finger in it like this and get a better grip. If it works for you, it's not gonna work for everyone, but then you can write like this and you have this brush to push down on it as well. So I think this is on the Amazon list too. I'll double check and make sure it's on there if it's not though. Okay, but it's called Pen Again. Pen Again. I'll type it in the box here for you guys.
Do you have the big holders, grippers, the big ones on your Amazon list? I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out. Okay,
I do.
the big ones. All right.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Franco. And your mother, what's your name?
My name is Lorena.
Lorena, nice to meet you.
Thank you, the same.
Thank you for joining. Anyone else want to throw some activities out at us and we can walk through them together? I'm gonna have to call on people. I see Christina Capello here.
A list of about 50 people with things that they wanted
Yeah.
share. So, I mean, it's really helpful because we'd love to do this with you. Oh, yes.
Hey, I'll speak up. I've got CMT 1A. I'm 42, but my progression really didn't start until about a year ago. So right now I still have very good, I'm losing most of my hands, but I still have very good grip, strength. I can still do everything that I was doing. I can tell I'm losing a little strength. My binder clips, for instance, I use those at work a lot, having trouble squeezing those. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. I did want to join to learn from you, from everybody else, what you're using, what challenges you face, because I know it's coming. And also to learn some things from my mother, who is in her 70s now, and she's starting to have a lot more issues with her hands. And we just had the conversation yesterday about her writing. And so that pen you just showed with the grip where you go through with the finger, I'm going to suggest that to my mother, and hopefully that will be helpful for her. But also wanted to, Laura, if you could just touch on, you mentioned 16 years ago or so that you just kind of came to grips with everything and you had a change in mindset. Maybe a little bit about, some techniques or kind of what was the turning point for you, what you used to get there.
So the turning point for me was that I knew that I would never make it if life didn't change. I was on empty. I was exhausted after 40 years of struggling with every freaking thing. And my hands were done. I mean, I had zero muscle strength and no more surgeries. There was nothing the medical world could do. And by the grace of God, I was led into sort of more of a spiritual, metaphysical frame of mind. And the first thing I did was I looked at my hands and I said, if I don't love you, why would you love me back? And I started to stop hating my hands and all their dysfunction. And mind you, I went to work every day as an OT. I mean, like, you'd think I'd be proud, I couldn't stand the fact that I couldn't, put my hand in my pocket anymore. They were clawed. They were just totally clawed. And I'm telling you, it took about a year and a half of just getting quiet, really learning to appreciate who I was and learning to love up these hands no matter what they look like. And that mindset of I'm not damaged, I'm okay, and turned around to sort of being proud that I have this stamina and this energy to not quit and get off my back, basically, to get off my back with how much I felt so damaged. Because there were a lot of things I couldn't do. And I'm telling you, the minute I started to feel that way, which is what I'm talking about with the whole neurological system being connected, the minute I took the stress off of me of having to do this or that this way, or forget it, I'm not going to do it. I mean, how many times when I eat, when I went out somewhere, or my whole life revolved around my upper extremities, basically, okay? When I stopped doing that and started appreciating, I noticed that my hands would straighten up a little more. I noticed it immediately. When I was relaxed and felt good about who I was and was appreciated in whatever environment I was in, I wasn't dropping things. I was doing more. That fed me. So learning to, number one, and I know this sounds really hokey, but learning to love yourself, learning to tender yourself, learning to let the energy flow through you. One of the things I do all the time with my clients is I say, give yourself a wrap. Really, really give yourself the caring, the tendering that you deserve. And so many of us are strung, just so conflicted, because we have to deal with this. How can I love this? And yet when we find that balance through quieting, through really the acceptance of this is what is, now let's see if I really like me and stop judging me for what I could do, if it would make a difference. Unbelievable difference. Unbelievable. And I can tell you it's been 16 years, but when I get completely stressed out, like some tragedy happened or whatever, I'll start dropping things again. So I know that our emotionality, and I do a lot of energetic work. Okay, so the energetic work and which ties into your emotionality, when you are in a calmer state, okay, not in fight, flight, because you're whoa, trying to figure it out. Whew, what a difference. Because your body hears that and receives that and accepts that. So I would tell you that loving yourself up is number one. And that's a hokey thing to say, but it isn't. I mean, loving my hands made my hands actually straighten a little more. I mean, my hand surgeon said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. He was shocked. And I know that when I keep myself out of stress, even that little video where, all right, so I'll get on the floor and I'll do this. What's the big deal? You know, I mean, I'm 66, I'm getting on the floor and I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm going to do it any way I can. My hands are better. And my body is better. If my body is better and my heart is better, my hands are better, period. So that's why this is so critical for me, that we get into the mind body, because I can't even imagine what my hands would have been like if I didn't step into this other place. So this calming, and actually you were going to segue beautifully into this exercise I'd love you all to do, because it speaks to that. So let's just do that a minute, okay? Because it's really important. And Stuart, thank you so much for tapping into that, because it's really critical. And especially because I'm hearing you say, I know this is going to happen. I want you to take that back, okay? Now you're going to get the other part of Laura that does healing activation. I want you to take that back. I don't want you to put it out there that you know it's going to get worse. Okay, that doesn't mean it won't, but don't put it out there, because your attitude wants to be, I'm really being very good about loving who I am, what I can do, and I'm going to keep this going. And without the, oh my, because this is what I did for 40 years. Oh my God, what's going to happen next? Oh my God, what's going to happen in 5 years? I lived in, oh my God, what's going to happen? Okay, isn't going to feed your system. So take that back, if you will, and say, right now, I'm functioning really well, and I'm really excited to keep functioning. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm really, really going to appreciate who I am. And that appreciation has to be in your system. So we're going to do a little activity right now, a few minutes. I call it hand loving. Okay, we're going to do a little hand holding and a little hand loving. So I want you to just bring your hands together, everybody. Just bring your hands together. Okay, just rub them together and feel the energy between your hands, because we're all energy. Gloria, I know you've sat through a few of these already. It's all energy. We're all energy, guys. We want to feed our energy. This is your occupational therapist talking to you. So I bridge it all. Feel the energy, okay? And then what I want you to do is just bring your arms out wherever it feels comfortable. If it's down here, you know, I know it's hard. Okay, wherever it feels comfortable based on your shoulders, your strength, okay, and your back strength. Try to keep your back as straight as you can, okay, because you really, really want to be balanced. You want your back to be aligned. You want your heart not to be squished, okay? You want to keep your spaces open. So bring your arms out. I have to move back. And then gradually just bring them in and feel the energy as you bring it in and bring it right to your heart center. And breathe. And I want you to just feel that flow. And as you're doing it, just really, really know that you're giving yourself this wonderful, wonderful sense of self and gratitude for who you are. Just feel it come in, just right here in your heart. Feel it come in. Just bring your hands to the center again and rub them and say thank you. Thank you for doing everything you do. And Stuart, this is how I started. And this is how I can be who I am today, with such gratitude, with 3 to 6 pounds of muscle strength on any given day. And there's really very little I can't do because of the attitude, not because of the muscle strength. Okay? Really, really feel that. How was that, Stuart? We lost you for a minute, but did that make sense if you heard it?
Yes, absolutely. And it's good practice, you know. I mean, that's like you said, that's, I'll say I know it's coming, but I know that's not the best way to think about this, because that just causes anxiety in itself. It needs to be avoided in as much as possible. You know, face each day as a single day and let it happen what's going to happen. Attack it then.
Absolutely, Stuart, because the anxiety just feeds the stress, and the stress is what determines how functional we're going to be that day. Let's put it that way. We're not talking, I mean, I don't do, you know, guarantees or this or that. I talk every day. I call it the barometer. We have a barometer. If we see how we're functioning and we feel that we're in stress because we're anxious about what's going to come or what I might not be able to do or what I can do, that barometer just increases stress. And everybody knows that stress causes illness, all right? So we already have that proclivity. So we want to keep that channel wide open. We want to de-stress and accept. And I mean accept in that, okay, this is who I am. And this is what I can do. Now let me play with it and have fun with it and see how I feel today.
And to speak to that, Stuart, as well, like when I'm stressed, that's when I fall. That's when my knees give out. That's like, you know, I'm much higher risk of falling when I'm in a stressful situation or I push my body past its limit and I'm not in the moment. So I definitely, you know, I totally agree with that. It's about keeping our energy at a level that works for us, that's beneficial, and also connecting with other people. You know, I know you have your mother as well, but connecting with the community, even outside of CMT, has greatly benefited me in a way where, you know, whether that person is blind or has hearing loss or has spina bifida, like all these other, you know, spectrums of disability, I make it a point to seek these people out and to form almost this tribe of people that I get inspiration from, I get motivation, I see them doing amazing things in the world, so that that anxiety for myself is alleviated, because I know no matter whether I'm walking or rolling, whether I have hands or no hands, I can still have an amazing impact on the world. You know, we interview, um, a makeup artist who does makeup holding the brush in her mouth, and we have, we connect with artists that do these amazing paintings with their feet. Like, the human spirit is so adaptive. So just broadening your whether that's on social media or just your own personal circle of friends that reflect that, and almost like celebrate that diversity in a healthy way. It's not this, this horrible thing that is going to stop you from living a wonderful life.
Because that mindset will make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Stella said to me when she met me, and I don't have CMT, I have an anterior horn cell disease, a lower motor neuron disease, like an ALS. But she said to me, "You're one of us." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm not really." And then I stopped. I had been wanting to hear those words for 45 years, 40, maybe 50 years. I was never like anyone else. Okay. First of all, my disease was so rare. I mean, I'm 66. So back in the day, nobody had ALS back then. Okay. And you know what? Wow. And this is what we do with our connection. So I have never felt so seen. And so, wow, we all get it, and how we can help each other and feed each other with that. That's everything. And, you asked me how I started. I started with a spiritual community, very grounded, very wonderful meditation retreats and Kabbalistic work. I felt so safe there to show up no matter how. And I used to worry, like, well, they're going to notice when I walk down the buffet table and I can't hold this and I can't do that. And they said, stop. And every time I said, stop, I mean, I was an OT. I did it differently. The kids would say to me, "Why do you hold your pen like that?" And I'm like, "Because I have a problem with my hands. I don't want to scare them." Okay. But the point is, we accept or we reject. When we accept, our whole body is part of that deal. We want to be a whole body deal. We are a whole body deal. Whether we know it or not, or until you find out, all right, that's true, our affect, our emotion, our energetics will all affect our physicality. That's how it happens. So, yeah, take you all in. And there's nobody saying we're damaged except ourselves, is the bottom line. Because we are unique and we're amazing. And in that mindset, you'll go. I had a woman that I worked with in my other practice, and she had ALS. And the minute she realized where her emotionality came from, she said, "I've never felt so healthy in my life." And this is a woman who clearly was falling. Okay. I mean, she was in a wheelchair when she said that to me, and she felt like $1,000,000 because she figured out how to love herself no matter what. And that was such a wonderful thing to witness, because it doesn't matter what our bodies do. I do so much, and it's not because of my hands. It's because my heart's open. And that's why my surgeon was shocked. Like, "Oh my God, whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Because Estella knows this too. And Estella and I mean, that's why we get along so well. We have that. Doesn't mean we don't get scared or sad. Doesn't mean it's exhausting. But we tender that. We take care of our exhaustion first and foremost. Right? Because you come first. You have to come first. And be gentle with yourselves. Be gentle. And don't put out anything that you don't need to put out. All right? It's better to put out the stuff that's positive right now, what you can do. And that'll work for you.
Absolutely. I love it. Does anyone else have any comments or feedback? Yeah. Any questions?
Well, I'd love you to think more before the next class. We do this once a month, about that whole connection between mind, body, and soul, or mind, body, wherever you want, wherever you're at with that. And maybe a little, not homework, but a little homework, a little something to witness. Okay, how's that? This isn't school. When you're doing an activity, notice if you're stressed or you're calm, and notice how that directly impacts the activity that you're doing. So let's say you just decided to open a jar, or I don't know, pick something up off the floor, and you get really angry, and notice how your body responds. And then 2 hours later, the next day, something lands on the floor and you're picking it up, but you're feeling okay. You're feeling really good about yourself. Notice the difference. I want you to start noticing the correlation between mind and body. It's 100%. Okay, I've lived it for 20 years now. It's 100% connection. And so I want you guys to have a little eye opening towards that, because that's what's going to really help you. I can guarantee that. Okay, so just be a little playful, and it could be any activity. Okay, opening the car door, getting in the car, steering the steering wheel. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just only thing that matters is your reaction or your response. Okay, and see if you can see how your body reacts to your response. As Estella said, she knows it. I certainly know it. And that'll be better than me talking for the next 60 years, okay? Just because you'll witness it yourself. And more than open to answer any questions or delve deeper into that, or do techniques to get your energy flowing so it doesn't get interfered with, and practical stuff on how we do this. Okay, and we can walk you through it, all right? I mean, I'd love to be able to actually walk somebody through it and say, okay, so how would you hold it if you can't, if you can't open your water bottle? What kind of water bottle would be best for you? I mean, I use this because I literally hold it against my body and I can turn this with the heel of my palm. All right. I mean, it's a 24/7 activity analysis. All right. And I'm more than happy to help you guys with activity analysis.
Yeah. And we can get creative, right? We can get creative and figure out new
That's part of it.
Yeah. And try out any of those gadgets. Let us know what you think. And I've put both of our emails in the chat as well. If anyone is having any problems accessing that link or any other information that you'd like, feel free to email myself or Laura. And also check out the movementismedicine.com website, which has some of Laura's past classes and some other adaptive fitness and wellness classes, especially designed by the CMT community and disability community, on all different types of exercises like seated cardio and adaptive yoga and strength training. So it's very inclusive, and movement is medicine. That's the bottom line. So we all want to stay moving in some way that feels good to us. So thank you, Laura.
Helpful.
Yes.
See you again.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good night. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.